happens if you kill a mermaid?
Our shores besieged by armies of dangerous, illegal aliens.
Mermaids ain't real, Georgie. They're made up.
Threatening to destroy our culture, our heritage, our very way of being.
I need you on this one, brother.
Who are they?
Who?
The people from the sea. If they're not mermaids, then what are they?
Hi and welcome to the SohoLIFF Spotlight. I'm Liz Farahadi and I'm very excited because I am joined with Patrick Ireland, who has got an absolutely gorgeous film called Ill Fares the Land, which will be screening at the next SohoLIFF. So congratulations on this, because this is a beautiful film.
No, thank you. I couldn't have said it better myself as well. Perfectly done.
Oh, so for anybody watching this, without giving anything away, could you tell us a little bit of what it's about?
Yeah, so Ill Fares the Land is a fantasy drama. It's about a young boy who finds a mermaid washed up on the shores of his seaside home, while his older brother is swept up in the rising tide of far-right nationalism. So yeah, it's quite intense. Yes. And yeah.
So it's very clever because you are kind of like dealing with this sort of like Nazi, far-right sort of thing. What word do we give them? But it's actually about immigration, isn't it? And you actually go very deep with this because you're looking more at the causes of why. How do people get so caught up in this? Was that what you started out with when you were making this project? Is that what you wanted to look at?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, for me, I was people aren't born fascists. They ultimately become fascists. And unfortunately for me, I grew up in a small seaside town. And over the years, I've noticed the rhetoric in these sorts of places to become more sort of explicitly racist, sort of more openly fantasizing about ethnic violence. And I wanted to make a film that sort of basically kind of unflinchingly depicted the reality that is sort of facing our country at the moment and elsewhere in Europe and America. So that's where sort of Ill Fares the Land initially came from, was a desire to kind of make a film about these kind of, small impoverished towns where the people living there have, fallen victim to racism and are becoming extremely radicalized by the far right. Yeah.
And the fantasy element, that's a really interesting way of bringing it around. Was this something that a way you wanted to work with it, or did this come as you were writing?
Yeah, I can't actually remember exactly when that moment happened. I mean, I always wanted to make a film about a mermaid,
right.
So that was always exactly. Yeah, no, so that was always on my things to do list. Was like, I'd love to make a film with a mermaid, and then obviously, sort of running alongside that, I was thinking a lot about the rise of the far right, a kind of renaissance for fascism, and the kind of the general kind of impoverished state of parts of the country, and the one thing I kind of realised, obviously the small boats crisis, in commas, that became a kind of lightning rod for a lot of sort of like far right activity, and I think that was when I realised that the refugee that, in the boat that crosses and comes on a beach, we can turn that into a mermaid. And also it kind of deals, it works on a level in which the film's about how we dehumanise asylum seekers. So for the far right, they kind of see asylum seekers as this sort of insidious threat, as something that's a real threat to them. And then for my protagonist in the film, George, a young boy, even he to a certain extent is dehumanising an asylum seeker because he's kind of projecting a kind of mermaid, a mythological character onto it. So there were a lot of ideas that I was sort of interested in exploring with the film, and I just packed as much as I could really into 18 minutes.
No, I mean, it's really interesting because, I mean, the dehumanisation is the powerful tool of the right-wing media, isn't it? And, playing people off there.
Yeah.
And was it that she became a mermaid to you, or were you just fascinated with mermaids and that happened, or is it a whole kind of a narrative?
Yeah, I think it started with the image of sort of, you know, someone kind of desperately crawling up the shore, and you know, we've all seen sort of in the news, like, you know, harrowing kind of imagery of refugees in boats, you know, like I don't want to bring it down, but obviously bodies on beaches and sort of really desperate people. So I think that like all of this kind of imagery that was surrounding the kind of the migrant crisis, sort of that kind of combined with my kind of desire to sort of make something about mermaids and do something a little bit more mythological, and then I just kind of sort of somehow I can't quite remember, but I realised, what if the kind of the migrant is a mermaid, you know? And it's not explicit in the film. I wanted to leave it up to interpretation, so you could go into that film and just think that it's about a boy that finds a mermaid, and it's an actual sort of living, breathing mermaid.
Oh, you've written it so well that it's so clear what it is, and she's so beautiful. And there's something about, you know, the ugliness of the situations that are happening with something that is so beautiful and mythological is very powerful.
No, thank you. I mean, I can't take sort of any of the credit for that. I mean, like our actress Smilla, she was absolutely wonderful in bringing that character to life. The mermaid tail was made by a guy called Siki, who I found on Instagram. He makes mermaid tails for a living, but he's absolutely brilliant, so thank you, Siki. So like, you know, that the performance combined with the kind of makeup and the special effects sort of really sort of brought that character to life, because the last thing you want to do is make a film about a mermaid and then when it kind of shows up on the screen, everyone starts laughing, particularly a film that's trying to deal with serious stuff. So like that was like, I was very nervous about, like, we need to make sure it's a good mermaid.
Oh, you don't have to worry about that.
Okay, I'm glad.
I mean, and let's talk about the casting, because the casting's fabulous. I mean, your two leads as well. I mean, all the performances are brilliant, but two leads, they're great. I mean, how did you go about finding all of them? Did you work with a casting director, or?
No, actually, no. Like, we couldn't afford a casting director. And weirdly, like, something that I like, you know, I've made a few short films, and, you know, like, obviously, as we're all independent filmmakers here, you know, it's like, you know, they cost money, they cost time. So, you know, I do it every few years, but it's really important for me, like, once I've written the film, to then go out and cast it, because I always want to, and because budget, but I always want to work with sort of undiscovered talent. There's a wealth of kind of undiscovered, unrepresented talent in this country. So I'm always looking to sort of find those kind of actors and kind of work with them, because not only will they elevate my project, but also because they're so talented. And it was no different with All Fair's the Land. So yeah, like, you know, we did auditions at like in a shed in Brixton, and and that's where I found Noah, who plays George, and Rory, who plays Trey, and they're just excellent.
Their chemistry, it was fabulous. I mean, like, the whole kind of, I don't want to give things away, but yeah, the conflict there of wanting to please and be something that would make him be what he wanted him to be. Talking in riddles. Sorry, you've got to watch it, you see.
Yeah, no, I mean,
but yeah, it's they were fabulous.
Thank you. I mean, it's the core of the film for me is about the two brothers. It's a story about kind of these two brothers that are in this kind of this sort of horrific situation. And like, for me, like, the question of the film is a kind of second renaissance for fascism inevitable? Like, when we look around and we see how powerful the far right have become, you know, is it inevitable? And for me, the kind of the relationship between the two brothers answers the question in the end, you know, about kind of redemption and about love. So, you know, that for me is the core of the story, and I also kind of used it to sort of try and kind of contemplate sort of these sort of deeper political, social issues as well.
Yeah, and I mean, there's also an element of sort of neurodiversity in there as well, isn't there? Yeah. What made you use that? Yeah,
so the protagonist in the film is firstly Noah, the actor himself. He's neurodiverse. He's a neurodiverse actor, and the protagonist, the character, is basically going through selective mutism. And for me, I'd never quite seen that on screen. I know it's been done before, but I'd never kind of seen that in a protagonist. And I also liked the idea of, obviously, the protagonist, George, he's a young boy. And I liked the idea of, and the kind of and what it implies, where you've got a young person who's silent, they're voiceless, their voice has been taken away from them in this kind of world of like racism and poverty, you know, like, and I'm sure a lot of young people at the moment feel like they're voiceless, feel like their voice can't, you know, have any effect on our politics, on our system. So I felt
all of us feel this at the moment.
And I just felt like it was a really great kind of it just had sort of a thematic kind of significance, making the character mute.
No, it's very, very powerful. Are you going to make this into a feature film?
You know, like, I'd love to, but then at the same time, you know, like, and as I said, we're all filmmakers here, like I always like, for me, like, when I kind of envision a film, you know, like a short film, I just think of it as a short film. Right. So for me, like, yes, Ill Fares the Land, you know, it would be fun to kind of expand that world out and to, you know, explore sort of like different characters and different parts of the story. But I also feel like the film as it exists now says everything that it needs to say, and I put everything that I could put into that film, so I don't have this sort of drive to kind of turn it into a feature. But you know, if there's anyone interested that like, wants to give money, then please, we can turn it into a franchise. And
but no, I mean, a short film is an art. To make a film that, you know, encompasses everything and tells that story in, you know, 20 minutes or whatever is a complete art in itself, and you pulled that off beautifully. You know, really have. I mean, what's your plan with it?
So Ill Fares the Land, so we're just basically taking it. We're coming to the end of our kind of festival run. I believe that the Soho Film Festival will be the last time. Actually,
you saved the best for last.
Yeah, best till last. I actually love that we're ending it in Soho. Like, it's just great. So yeah, I think that will be the last time that you'll get to see it on the big screen in the festival run.
Cool.
And then it's going on to Amazon, and I'll start sort of looking to make the next one, whatever that is.
Fabulous. And let's talk film festivals. Why are film festivals important?
I mean, film festivals are so important in this day and age, particularly for independent filmmakers. You know, we live in an era where, you know, you've got the giant kind of streamers, and the whole kind of market has been completely sort of taken over by a few sort of like massive corporations, essentially. So it's really important that sort of grassroots film festivals exist, so independent filmmakers have a place to showcase their work to the public.
Amazing. Look, thank you so much. You have to watch this, Ill Fares the Land. It's going to be on in January 2025. Last chance to watch it on the big screen. Best film festival in the world. You know, not that I'm biased or anything.
No, of course not.
But no, you must see it. It really is a fabulous film, and you've done a wonderful job. And just thank you so much. Thank you for coming down and chatting to us about it.
No, thank you so much.